Hello, teachers. It is Saturday, 27 July, 2024, and we are having a meeting. I am Dean Dr. Eric in Chennai, and I believe you all are at school. So, the mission of this meeting is to review ideas for the teachers and for the students. I've prepared a 3-page handout for the students, and it's not yet finalized. But once it is finalized, I'm hoping we can give perhaps even hard copy to all the students from 6th standard up, because those are the students I work with. So we'll take a look at that. And also, this past June, I met with many of you and gave a 1-page hard copy, and we'll follow up on that. Okay. I think for now, mute yourselves. I think very soon I'll ask you I'll invite you to speak, but at this moment, why don't we keep only one person speaking? Okay, a little earlier today, Senior Principal Mr. Binuman sent a message to our WhatsApp group. He wrote, "Dear teachers, I kindly request that you ensure the use of English language communication on the school campus." So he's saying that he's hearing some of the students speaking in Tamil. So he wants to encourage you to encourage them to speak English. In addition, please provide support to those students who need assistance in improving their English language skills. So that's a big mission. We'll talk about that. How to give support to the students who would benefit from support in improving their English language. Class coordinators are also requested to identify and select the best communicator in each class for the Silver Tongue badge. By the way, is my voice coming pretty clearly? Is my voice coming okay?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Yes. Very good. Very good. Okay, so he's written class coordinators. Please identify the best communicator in each class for a Silver Tongue badge. So it seems every class, every homeroom has a class coordinator. Is that correct? Are you familiar with this term, class coordinator?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when Mr. Binuman says class coordinator, you know who you are, and you know what your class is. So he's asking you to identify and select the best communicator in the class in English language, of course. I think you should also pay attention to who's a very good speaker in Tamil language, because if someone is a good speaker in Tamil, we can build on that. That means they have the confidence, they have the gift of the gab. We just have to help them extend that to English. So he's asking you to identify the best English language speaker. We have to discuss what is the criteria, How can you judge? By what criteria will you select the best English language speaker? That's a long-term discussion. But he wants the name of a student in each class for the Silver Tongue badge. What do you think of that? Does anyone have any comment or any question about that? Is it reasonable? Is it possible for each teacher to select one student? Am I using the word homeroom correctly? See, when I was a child, I had a homeroom I guess first thing in the morning. I came to my homeroom, I had a homeroom teacher. Then I went for different subjects to different classrooms. I'm sure it's not that way for all of the students at Rojavanam, but maybe for the older students they're moving around. But does it seem possible? Is it feasible that each class coordinator is going to select the best English language speaker in one class? Does it make sense? Pramila, does it seem reasonable?
We are giving the silver tank badge only to 1 or 2 students because the
One.
students
Okay.
one.
Okay, but is it clear that each teacher, that there's a class coordinator in each class? Is
Yes,
there such a thing?
Yeah, the other name for class teacher is class coordinators.
Okay, so people know who is the class coordinator for what class? Well, they have to find out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That
No,
has
no,
to
no.
be. Okay, okay. So that's one thing. And again, we will have some discussion eventually. How can you judge who is the best English language speaker? Do they speak fast? Do they speak loud? Do they have a good vocabulary? Do they speak intelligently? Of course, they should speak fluently, but all of these questions are there. Okay, let's go on. So now, Pramila, you are here. What is I'm sure I'm out of date, but in my notes, your title, as well as being a teacher, an English teacher, you are in my notes, it says Coordinator English Language Training. Does that make sense? Or who? And then I also have that somebody is the communicative English in charge. What is your title, Pramila?
Last year said that I am in charge of communicative English, and now this year we are not sure.
Well, we're going to get sure. In my notes here, let me go on to screen share for just a minute. Screen share. Okay, can you see? Is it big enough to see these words?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Communicative English in charge is developing basic English sentences and giving them to teachers. So is that what, Pramila, are you doing that?
So last year I did, but this year I didn't.
Well, is Marin still there?
Yes. Yes, sir.
But is Marin in the meeting now? I don't see her. Anyway, we have to get cleared up what you are doing and what Marin is doing. From my notes, which are out of date, from long ago, Marin was the communicative English in charge, and that meant developing English sentences. In some cases, this involved back and forth conversations. The teachers can give these sentences to the students for the students to practice, and some of the teachers can also practice these.
So this is Mary Line here.
Oh, very good, very good. So the communicative English in charge, we're going to figure out who is the communicative English in charge, and then I think I made up a different position, which I'm not sure if it really exists, a coordinator of English language training, gathering information about, please mute yourself. Participants, mute. There we go. Thank you. The coordinator of English language training is gathering information about different methods of teaching language, and she might at times suggest sentences to the communicative English language in charge. One of the two, either the coordinator or the in charge, is going to keep track of which students and which teachers might especially benefit from practicing speaking. As we've discussed in the past, sometimes in Tamil Nadu, people who are trained in teaching Tamil literature, they are not trained so much in English language. But what I've noticed at the school is that many of the Tamil literature teachers are excellent teachers and get the students involved very well. And some of those teachers could improve their English language abilities, because even in Tamil literature class, the medium of teaching has to be English. And this will be all the more so when we get students coming from the Hindi language areas, and we'll get students who are now non-Tamil speakers eventually. So this improving English is for students and also for some teachers. Okay, so this is one mission, to get really clear on the communicative English in charge and coordinator of English language training. And I think it's a great project to gather information about different methods of teaching language. You know, my specialty, my contribution to the field is using singing games. Kole Kole Mandrika, Neriya Neriya Chandava, and through the repetition, through the body movement, questions and answers, acting out a skit, those activities all help with learning language. But of course, there are many methods of teaching and learning language, and we're going to write them down and make a list and see how each one works. And I really do believe that all of the teachers, English language, English lit teachers, of course, but all of the teachers are going to help with the English language development. Does anybody have any questions or comments about what I've just been saying? Pramila and Marin, I think it's too complicated now in this place to really finalize you know, what each of your titles is in relation to English and responsibilities. We'll do that. I'm hoping I'll be visiting in a couple of weeks, and we'll settle all that then. But anyone want to say anything at this point? My teaching and training style is to talk for a couple of minutes and then ask for any feedback. So if anyone wants to share anything, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll sit in silence for some moments and continue. Okay, no feedback. I take it as a failure as a teacher trainer. If there's no feedback, I feel I've failed. But okay, now stop share. So now let's go on to the next point. I've been using this word Oracy, O-R-A-C-Y. And this is actually an educational movement coming out, especially out of England, to help children learn, especially by speaking. You know, we all know that students can listen. They listen to a lecture. But we also know that that's not a very effective method of teaching. They don't listen to half of it. They don't remember half of it. If you really want them to listen, they have to listen to themselves. They have to speak. And then they really take ownership of the material and that they really absorb it and digest it. We all know as teachers, the best way to learn anything is to teach it to somebody else, is to talk about it. So this field of oracy, you know, it's like the word literacy. L-I-T, I think it's a Greek or Roman word for the written letter. And then oral is the spoken. So we are teaching literacy and oracy. There are, in this new field of oracy, there are many activities that have been developed. Okay, we have 44 people in this meeting. Could a few more people please turn their cameras on? I like to feel I'm talking to somebody. Can we, is it possible? Yes, good. Okay. In the field of oracy, there are many activities now that have been built up, and Let's see. Well, of course, speech making is there, debating is there, the art of conversation. One of my real innovations, contributions, I believe, is that we will institutionalize the teaching and learning of the art of conversation. It sounds funny, I know, because conversation should just be common sense. But we're going to make a we're going to make a topic out of it. Conversation analysis is actually a little field shared by linguistics and sociology, sociolinguistics. We actually study how people begin a conversation, how they change the subject, how they end the conversation in different cultures. We'll do that. The basic idea of conversation is that it's back and forth. It's reciprocal. So whatever is said has to relate to what came before. Unless you say, oh, my friend, can I change the subject? Can I bring up a new subject? And if friend says, okay, then we can go to a different subject. But until something like that happens, we have to connect to what came before and add to it. So these are different parts of Oracy. Then one activity, sometimes people call it, where do you stand? And they'll ask a question, and you have to stand on this side of the room or that side of the room to express your opinion, or you can raise your hand. Let's do it, raise your hand. I will make a statement, and if you believe strongly in it, raise your hand. If you don't really believe in it, keep your hand down. Okay, a statement I'm going to make is exploring outer space beyond the gravity of Earth. It's very expensive, but it's worth it. And I believe, or you believe, that the government should spend a good deal of money to explore outer space. Do you agree or disagree? If you agree very much that the government should allocate resources for exploring outer space, even though it's expensive, raise your hand. If you don't think very much money should be spent, keep your hand down. Okay, go ahead. Let me see your hands. Mary, good. Thank you for having your hand up. Everybody, I know it's a shock. I'm asking you to participate. I'm asking you to express your feelings and opinions. So I'm asking you, if you feel that the government should spend a good deal of money for exploring outer space, please put your hand up. If you feel that not much money should be spent on that, keep your hand on this level at the bottom of your video picture. Okay. Vijay Lakshmi, you're about halfway. Is that correct? Abel, I don't see your hand at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Abel, just you raise your hand either halfway or full way. Shri Devi?
I think I'm halfway through that. I'm just admitting the participants, so I was pretty busy in that.
Well, I'll admit them for a moment. You let me see your hand.
Yeah.
Hi. Pramila, how do you feel? That's pretty okay. So you can put your hands down. So that's just an example. And then, of course, you can ask the students, well, why do you feel that way? You know, give me the reasons why you feel that you're in favor. This is like a debate, right? Someone's ringing the bell here. I'll be right back. I've got to get the door. Hello? Yes,
Yes, sir.
the big jars of water are being delivered here. and I'm the only one here. So I have to help the people bring in the water. I apologize. Okay, another activity in Oracy is to invite the student to make a speech, sometimes with preparation, sometimes with no preparation, on any subject. So let's stick with this outer space. Outer space means beyond the gravitational pull of Earth, right? That's outer space. So the sample topic is outer space. I'm going to invite, wait a minute, I'm going to put everybody on mute for the moment. I'm going to invite one of you to speak for 60 seconds on the subject of outer space. You can say anything. This is an activity, it's an exercise in public speaking with no preparation. So do I have a volunteer? Will somebody speak about space? Yeah, the water people are going to ask me to sign something or something. Just please come in here when you're done. They're talking to me. Just a second. Signing. Where? Okay, the water delivery men have come and gone. Where's my volunteer to speak about space? Oh, Abel, thank you so much. Please go ahead, Abel. Turn your mic on and go ahead.
Frankly speaking, I don't have much idea about space. But what I know is it is dark, and we know stars are bigger than our planet. And once Pluto was considered as a planet, but we take it as a star. I've got only limited information in space. And recently, Sunita from Dr. Sunita, I guess, she's gone to space, and so because of some issues, she cannot return back. And they found an alternative. They are doing some other research. That's what I heard. That's the recent news I heard about Sunita. So that's what I have got to say.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, this is an Oracy activity. You can give the students some time to prepare. You can let them prepare in teams. One very popular Oracy activity, which also relates to designing interactivity in the classroom, is called Think, Pair, Share. The students think individually, and they might even write individually. Then they pair up with the student sitting next to them and discuss what they have written. And then finally, the students in that team share their findings with the entire group. You see? So it's individual thinking and writing, then discussion in pair, then sharing with the entire group. We all know that it's easier to talk to one person, but the way that public speaking is taught, one way it's taught is first have the learners talk in pairs where they're more comfortable, and then ask them to speak to the entire group. So, so these are Oracy-related activities. Where do you stand? What's your opinion? Speak for 1 minute on any subject. Think, pair, share. There are many others. I can when I see you next in person, I'll share others with you. Now, regarding speech making, if a student writes it down, it's an essay, right? If they deliver it orally, it's a speech. There are many different types of essays. One, we call it a persuasive essay. You know, I want you to believe something, and I want you to do something. This is popular in government, in politics. It's always, I want to convince you that you should do a certain thing. You should vote in a certain way, that we should allocate resources in a certain way. So that is a persuasive speech. And someplace in my notes, I have given different types of evidence that you can refer to. Another type of speech is a descriptive speech, where you refer to color, you know, the five senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, and you really help your listener experience something through your description. That's a descriptive speech. Another type is a narrative essay, where you tell some experience you've had and you give a commentary on it. And just a second here. Yeah. And finally, for the older students, a research essay, which is also often a persuasive essay, but with research, it's all based on questions that the student comes up with. The student formulates a question: why is the sky blue? And then the student looks around and finds out why different people have said the sky is blue, and what scientific evidence there is. So, so these are different types of essays: persuasive, descriptive, narrative. For persuasive, sometimes we want to say something is wonderful, let's celebrate. Or we might want to say, it's okay, but it could be improved. This is my suggestion for improvement. And in the coming time, I will invite students to compose these essays, but I'm not a teacher, you see? So I will not, and also I'll be seeing hundreds and hundreds of students. So I'll need to coordinate, especially with the English teachers, so that if we give them an assignment to compose an essay or speech, it will go to you English teachers. I will read as many as I can, and I will give feedback. But you know, you are the ones who are giving grades, and we'll have to do it together. Okay, I'll stop for a moment and ask any thoughts, any questions, any comments about what I've said in the last 5 or 10 minutes. If you don't say anything, I'll feel I'm a failure.
Nothing so far. We don't have any.
Okay, I should go on. Okay, but you know, a public speaker, of course, the first thing we'll ask is, does anyone have any doubts? I will never ask that, because doubt to me is a kind of scary word. Do you doubt? That means you don't believe it, or you feel I didn't communicate it clearly. So I won't ask for doubts. I could ask for questions, but I prefer to ask for comments. And my favorite thing to ask for is, what has passed your mind in the last 5 minutes as you've been listening that you can share? I know 95% of what's passed your mind, it's too private. But there might be something that has passed your mind, you know, relating to the ideas that I've been saying, that you could share to the group. So, so really, would anyone want to share any thought before I go on? Abel, I see something's on the tip of your tongue. What do you think about this Oracy field? Do you think it's interesting, or what, do you have a feeling about it?
So all your methods are really great, sir. But I'm afraid that we won't get right time for it. Sufficient time for conducting all these activities and stuff. And we also have
Yes,
to go with academics.
yes, yes. Of course, we have to work within the CBSC curriculum, but I believe we can bring it together. CBSC is encouraging student participation. The National Education Policy is encouraging it. So I think I understand that, you know, a lot of material has to be taught, but what I'm saying is the material maybe will be taught better and retained better if the students are more active. You know, we can establish, I will try to prove to you that students will learn better if they are talking about the subject. If they're just listening and writing notes, they will not absorb it as well. But okay, that is you raise an important point, and we'll take that into consideration. Let me go into screen share and just review these topics that I presented to you this past June, and you tell me if you've been able to apply them at all to your classroom work. Okay, I'm going on to screen share. Okay, using stories and storytelling to teach and learn any subject. And you know by now that I always say teach and learn, right? I don't just say teach, because the modern view of education is that we have to understand how the young people learn. You know, and some learn better in this way, some learn better in that way, but we're here to facilitate their learning process. We're not here just to fill them with information. We're here to activate them. So we want to know how we can help the learning process, using stories and storytelling to teach and learn any subject. Have any of you done any work with that or any thinking about that? Has it applied to anything you're doing yet? You remember I gave two examples of Walter the Drop of Water, who the H2O went through the being a solid ice, liquid water, and different forms of gas. And there was a character who had adventures. That was, I think, one example. And I recommended for history and literature, just stop and ask your students, if you were in that position, what would you do? You know, relating to the main character in the novel or short story or the historical figure. Given that situation, what would you do? So has anyone done any thinking or experimenting with this topic number one? Not yet. You see, I've made an assignment. And you know, these assignments, I told you, they are assignments, but there's no due date. You can take 10 years if you like. But you can also send me an email. Or when I come and visit in a couple of weeks, you can talk to me. So go at your own pace, but see if it makes sense. Okay, the public speaking and essay writing, I've already mentioned. Oh, these are elements of rhetoric, different types of evidence that you can use, that the students can use to support their positions. You say tradition. This is the way it's always been done. We should also do it this way. Authorities, the leading scholars and politicians, they agree with me. So you should also agree with me. If I have statistics, if I have my own experience, my own common sense, and you yourself have your own common sense, it should also make you agree with what I'm saying. And if you go with my program, you'll get a lot of benefits, and all of society will get benefits if you go with my program. These are just examples of methods for debating and speech making to build evidence for your idea, for a persuasive essay. Okay, number 3, developing methods for teaching and learning English language. Marin and Pramila will talk about this later. We are going to gather these methods and lead the entire school in applying these methods. So we have, and English teachers in general, I think we're in the leadership position, but I really believe all teachers at the school are going to be part of this process. And just like each one of you has been requested by Mr. Abinuman of selecting a leading English language speaker in your class, you have to think about what makes a good speaker and how to help them improve. Okay, interactivity in the classroom. I gave one example of think, pair, share, right? Individual listening and writing. Then someone needs to turn their mic off. Oh, and that brings up a different subject. One of the very challenging things for a teacher is when students talk to their friend privately when they should be listening. So we have to inculcate in the students a sense of responsibility for the entire group, so that they don't do that selfish thing of talking to one person, but they look out for the entire group, so that if there's one speaker, everybody can listen to that one speaker. So designing interactivity, story composition. If you or your students are ever going to make up stories, I have a lot of techniques for that. And for storytelling, I believe in natural speaking and letting the story build up its own emotion. I don't believe in the sing-songy, and now this happened and that happened, and now I'm going to tell you in a sing-songy voice. I find that so artificial. And also, please let us not have our students yelling their stories. Please let them just talk about it and explain it. And emotion will come up. Let them get carried away with emotion. But the emotion should come from the story, not from my ego that I'm saying, please listen to me because I'm telling an important story. It should grow out of the story. And then after the story is told, I believe we can train our students to lead a conversation about the story they just told. They can ask, what did you like about it? Do you have any suggestions for improvement? Would you like to add anything? Does it remind you of anything else, an experience or another story? And finally, of course, what messages do you get from it? So you, the teacher, can lead the discussion, but if you're training the young people as storytellers, please also train them in leading a discussion. It's like you're training them to be teachers, which is good. Okay, and here again is this thing about Oracy, which involves conversation, speech making, debating, storytelling, but most of all, it involves students learning by speaking. Okay, we're getting near the end. We have about another 10 minutes. I have a few more topics, but again, I'm going to stop and ask for someone to give some feedback. Not you, Abel. You've given feedback already. And I will also ask for some more people to turn on their cameras. See, we have 45 people here, but I'm afraid many of you teachers are like students who don't want to get involved in the classroom. You don't want the responsibility. You don't want the pressure of having to participate. And, that's why students sit in the back row and try to avoid involvement. But at the same time, the same students will crib, oh, the education system is so boring. You see? But you see, we're trying to make education more interactive, but that puts a responsibility on the learner to participate and to contribute. So, so somebody go ahead, give some feedback on anything that I've said in these last 45 minutes.
Yeah. Excuse me, I request all the teachers to respond because the session was very useful. We know that it's very apt to this particular situation because Dr. Eric Miller is started his session with cooperative, collaborative learning strategies like think, pair, share, and many such activities are very useful for an interactive classrooms. It's a part of CBSE system, not only the CBSE system, it's a part of our education system. The classroom can be lively if you use all these strategies. So I request all the teachers to take it very seriously, and you have to learn further how to implement interactive learning methods in the classroom. Students definitely will enjoy. And the second is the terminology which Dr. Eric Miller is using. You must go through that. For example, rhetoric. What is a rhetoric? That you have to learn what is what's meant by that. Actually, it's a way of speaking or writing that is influencing people, but sometimes it may not be very sincere. So what does it mean? These are all we should interpret because there are different ways of presentation. Maybe it's a storytelling, or maybe it's a public speaking, or presentations are different and different mode. So these are all very important as teachers. We should understand the difference between storytelling, even a speech. These are all different. So he's trying to explain in detail, and he's giving minute aspects of the difference between all these way of presentations. So my dear teachers, I know you are all well equipped. Most of you are well trained in that because maybe it's a time to wind up the school. Maybe you are all waiting for dispersal. But anyway, my request is he's giving valuable inputs that will definitely enrich your teaching. Kindly respond. So few teachers, I'm expecting few teachers, and you're a very good educationist. You can give some inputs. Then these types of sessions definitely will enrich entire team of Rojavanam. So I'm waiting for your response. Thank you.
And I thank you so much for those thoughts. I learned something today because someone mentioned we may not have time to do these new things because we have a lot of curriculum to cover and to teach. But as I said, I believe that you will be able to teach that curriculum in a more successful way if you can get more student activity and involvement. So the thing is for us to try different methods, try different the think, pair, share, the getting students to work in teams, the different methods to have them really take ownership of the material and ownership of the learning process. I think it's an illusion that this will take more time. I think it will fit in the time, but it will become a more successful use of the time if we can get the students more active.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone?
I think Chandani ma'am, are you there? English, head of the Department of English.
No, sir, she's on leave today, sir.
She is on leave.
Okay. Any other department members from English department? I need a person's feedback. Otherwise, Divya ma'am, you can also respond. Even you are music, you are also a teacher. Yeah, you want to say something? Yes. Yes.
Well,
No, sir, any other teacher?
Hello, sir. Good evening. I am Pravina. Actually, we are using storytelling techniques. And as per the level of the students, we are giving our teaching. Nowadays, all the teachers are working into it really hardly. So thank you so much for your valuable session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just do one more little quick screen share. This is from the handout that I'll be giving to the students, elements of verbal communication, spoken and written. Of course, grammar. I'm not an expert in grammar and punctuation, but I'll share my thoughts. Puns. Pun is two words that have different meanings, right? But they sound the same. Metaphors and symbols, something that represents something else. Idioms and proverbs, those are expressions like letting the cat out of the bag. So these are topics within English that I will also be teaching along with the English teachers. Okay. All right. Well. I think we can stop the session unless anyone wants to add anything. Again, I'm hoping all of this will not compete with what you are already doing, but it will make what you're already doing better and stronger and more meaningful and more powerful. That's the goal here. Okay, does Mr. Bienemann, do you want to say any final words?
Yes, thank you so much for your effort to organize this particular meeting. We'll continue this meeting because in future we'll have similar sessions. Definitely, it will be helpful for the teachers because all these techniques are an integral part of teaching, and we should develop the skill to integrate all these skills in our teaching process. So definitely, a lot of changes will happen. It's not addition, actually; it's a tool to teach concepts, nothing more than that. So thank you very much. You are sparing your time, and I think all teachers got something today, and definitely will continue. This is just a beginning. We'll have similar sessions in future. I hope so.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
And I look forward to being there with you sometime soon.
Sure.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, now
bye.
I'm going to stop the recording.